Welcome, reading one. And just prepare your ears. These little fairy bells wanted to come in. I felt so, excuse me. I felt so drawn to your card. So it's either just because it's going to be a really cool, interesting reading, which they always are anyway, or it could be mine. I always love that, right? Because we work together. So just prepare your ears. I'm going to keep ringing and clearing the air. I feel like some of you really need this right now. And if it's pingy or it's like, it's hurting my ears or whatever, that means that it's a frequency that you need to work with. Okay? I know it's intense, but sometimes you really need to clear the air. Okay, so you chose don't make assumptions, let your life be transformed. And these are angel messages. I just got this. I woke up this morning and I just felt this. I knew a reading was coming, but I didn't know like how they were going to have me do it. Look at, I was trying to get that piece off over let, but look at, I don't know if the light will let me, but it's a piece of glitter. It's a piece of blue glitter. I feel like some of you have lost your zhuzh. That's why when they were putting this together, they were putting so many like sparkly, fun, you know what I mean? Like all these like very expressive energies. And I feel as if your angels are asking you to let yourself transform into who you've always wanted to be. Now, right before I started this, I will put a link in the description box. Always check in there. There's always a lot of fun little Easter eggs, as my birthday sister says, or like little breadcrumbs to take you to something else to go deeper into your reading. And with this energy, there's this, with your energy, I'm feeling right away. While I was setting up this reading, I watched an episode of Style Like You. I think that's the name of it. It's a really great channel. It's totally taken off because it's all about being who you are and whatever that means to you. And it's okay for us to change and transform ourselves. You know, I recently spent time with someone who I had spent, not a significant amount of time, but I spent enough time with them that I was really surprised they didn't remember me. But then when I said, well, when you met me, I was blonde and, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I had just gone really dark purple in my hair in December. So I'm like, so I get it. Like some people, it's like everybody takes in what they take in. You know what I mean? Like, meaning like, we can all look at the same thing, but we're going to have different interpretations of what we're looking at because our brains are wired differently. And I kind of feel like, I realized I'm like, it's not about taking it personally because somebody doesn't remember you. They just, sometimes people only remember certain things, places, people, things, because of a connection or, maybe they, traveled there and something significant happened. But, when you're just having like a regular mundane conversation about your practice, you might not remember every single person you talk to. But if you went to Machu Picchu, right, and you've never been to Machu Picchu and you are like, wow, look at this place, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to remember that place, Anyway, I don't know who that was for, but the episode that they're having me connect, the one that I watched before this, is about someone who is binary and, was it binary or non-binary? Oh gosh, you guys, I don't mean to be a jerk. I just don't know all, and I know I probably should know more, but I'm shitting on myself. But anyway, it's about a woman who's transitioning into a man, and it's a really cool, beautiful episode. And maybe, even if this just touches one person that realizes that that's okay. Don't let the bullying and the people and the naysayers and, you know what I mean? Like, this disgusting like abusive power that's happening on the planet in real time today is January 9th, 2026. And the abuse that's happening on the planet right now is just really vile. But it's like we're at the end of the end, you know, we're at rock bottom. Humanity is at rock bottom. And in my experience, when you're at rock bottom, sometimes, you know, you gotta just fuck up a little bit more until you get to, you know, nirvana. Sometimes, you know, people, I know for myself, I had something really interesting happen to me over the last 24 hours, and I may have judged it before or given myself, you know, why are you doing this? You just spend all this time working on yourself and changing yourself. Why are you even remotely going back to this one thing? But then I realized, I'm like, I'm a beautiful soul and a kind, loving soul. I am magic, but at the same time, I'm human and I'm still sorting out things from my past. And I too am going through my own metamorphosis. And I feel like, you know, the angels are telling you right now, you're going through a major metamorphosis right now. So allow it to happen. One of the things that this person said in the interview was that now that they're in the full transition process, they're like, wow, it's going to be interesting to see like where I am a year from now. You know, she's like, in a year from now, you know, that'll be a full year of like, you know, taking testosterone or whatever she's taking, you know, whatever they're taking. I don't know what they're, but whatever they're, you know what I mean? But they're transitioning. So I cannot see the alignment with your card and that and not speak, because I watched that first and then I pulled the card. So I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. So even if you're not going through that, you may find some pearls in there, because I would consider myself a quote unquote heterosexual female, but at the same time, I've had like intimate relations with men and women throughout my life. So in all different ways. But with my partner now, if you were to look at us, he is a quote unquote straight man. I'm a quote unquote straight woman. And we have this relationship, but we've been together in other lifetimes. We know that, we feel it, we sense it. And I know for a fact, I can feel it sometimes. It's so strong. And I think that's why he struggles, is because he's kind of a manly man, quote unquote, as they would say. But yet he's extremely sensitive because he's a powerful empath, and he just has a lot of divine feminine. He's driven more from divine feminine than masculine. And when we're together, and so I can see in our past lives that, you know, we have switched roles and genders, and I've been the man and he's been the woman. So, you know, it's been very interesting to watch us both change and evolve. And yesterday, for some reason, things just hit me harder, and we spent time together. And after he left, I just started to cry, because I'm like, I lived with this person for like 9 years of my life, you know, or 8, I guess 8, because we're going on 11 years. So no, it was 9 years. So I lived with him for 9 years, and then it was supposed to be a temporary separation that turned into something that now it's been, I don't even know how long, like over, I'd say a year and a half plus. And there are moments where I just want him to like come home and like get into bed with me, and, you know, but it's kind of wild. Like, I've been sleeping alone this whole time. And he mentioned recently, because I said, I don't, it's not about the sex. I'm like, I just miss you. Like, I just miss laying next to you. And he's like, yeah, but he's like, I was starting to snore. He never really snored. And then like he started to snore. And this happens with a lot of men, which is kind of interesting. And I don't understand what the story is, because his weight may fluctuate like 5 or 10 pounds, like, you know, regular, like kind of like summer or winter. But it's interesting to me that, I hear this a lot, that they're like, he never snored, and then he just started snoring. I'm like, huh, that's interesting. From couples. Anyway, I hear this a lot. And I said, really? I go, so that's what makes you not want to, you know, he's like, yeah, I always felt like, you know, worried about whether you're getting sleep, or like you would roll me over, or, you know, especially if he would like roll over and like get really close to my head and snore. I mean, sometimes I'd laugh, but, you know, other times I'd be like, dude, I just need to sleep, you know? So I feel like there's just such a massive transformation happening in each of us, and definitely in our romantic relationships. So Spirit's saying, allow everything to just naturally unfold. And I'm getting the vibe that some of you, at least, that you have a lot of control things that you're working on it. I feel like this is the thing. congratulations, I'm getting the fairy claps and snaps, right? Like, all the glitter. They're saying they're so proud of you. Like, so many of you, like, you're working really, really hard at this. But they're saying, try not to work so hard at letting go of control, and just like letting go. Because when you just, I just got the chills. So when you naturally just let go and let life, it will naturally transform itself for you. And this is from a deck called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And I highly recommend that you read the book. This is the cover of the Oracle cards, but it's also the cover of the book. And he was really smart to do that. Whoever told him to do that was a genius, because, and I feel like for some of you, like, maybe you need this right now. Like, you need to remember that, like, there's something that, you don't have to have everything perfect. You don't have to have everything right. Also, I want to say this, especially for my fairies out there, a lot of the reason why you're trying to control so much is because we were told and taught not to be ourselves. We were told that we were too much. We didn't speak up enough. We were people pleasers. We didn't have boundaries. We allowed people to tread on us because we were so different. And I know for myself, and this comes through and translates a lot in this tribe. So if you're new here, welcome. And if you're coming back, welcome back. But we've spoke about this many times in group readings, my podcasts, like everything, that there is something very singular about what's happening to all of us, but also as a collective for the light workers, the angels, the deep down believers in magic, like all of these like magical creatures, insert your story or label here, whatever feels comfortable to you. But I know, like, that show came to me at the right time, This Style Like You, because when I was growing up, I was so different and weird, and I didn't want to dress like everybody else, but it was, I remember my mom made my clothes and I thought they were so magical and dreamy, because my mom would say, nobody has this but you. Like, even if some kid has like these overalls, she's like, they don't have this pattern with these, buttons and whatever. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. And my mom helped me, even though she did it a lot of times too, to like save money and stuff, but also she liked to be creative. It's interesting because I feel like I got to know my mom through a different lens because I was the youngest. So once my brother and sister started going off to school, I had this rare privilege to spend time with my mom when they weren't around, and see like what she'd be up to during the day, because when I was little, she was tending to all of us, you know what I mean? All my siblings, my brother and I are only like 15 months apart. So, but then to see my mom like taking on like projects, she would take on all these creative projects, and I started to see a different like viewpoint and vantage point of my mother. But I was like, how come this or how come that? And then after my parents got divorced and my mom like kind of started down a different path and a different trajectory, I noticed that she did creative things less and less, and she was working, she had to work. And I remember she was like, yeah, well, when I was at home with you kids and your father was working, she's like, I had the luxury to like spend more time on those things. Now I'm too tired. And I think that's another thing too that was branded into us, right? Like, how can I be creative? Or how can I don't even have time, or I don't have money, or I don't have blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you something. My mama used to say, even if you buy something secondhand, it's new to you. So a lot of my wardrobe and in even my home, like everything, like my vehicles, my home I live in, right? It's old. It's 40 plus years old, and my vehicle is, 30 years old, and you know what I mean? Like all of these things, but they're mine and I love them, and my clothes and the way that I look is my own. And I love to secondhand shop. And if you're somebody who doesn't like to do that and you like to buy new things, that's okay too. But maybe start supporting like Etsy stores, or, other, stores close by to your home, supporting local, and, buying clothes. Sometimes I would wear this one thing that I had, and it was so beautiful and it was so magical, this handmade sweater, and people would stop me and they'd be like, wow, where did you get that? And I was like, and I would tell them the story or whatever. And they'd say things like, I could never wear that. That's so beautiful, but I can never wear that. And I'd say, what do you mean? Why can't you wear that? And they're like, oh, no. You know what I mean? And it was like, and I knew without them saying, I knew what they were trying to say. And it was like, oh, no, people would think different of me. People would think less of me. And I'm all about, being, your own person. And then I'd also have people would be like, wow, that's so beautiful. That must have been really expensive. They go right to the money. And I'd say, it was gifted to me. I said, but I know how much it was because I worked at the organic boutique that it was, bought at. And one of my regular customers ended up becoming a dear friend. And money, she grew up with they call it old money. Like she never not had money. And this is like homes with like staff and stuff like that. Like she just grew up that way. And so when she was done wearing it, she was like, I remembered how much you loved it and commented on it. And she's like, I wanted to gift it to you. And it was like $250 or something. And I remember people would be like, $250? I'm like, yes, but it's like a piece. It's something I will have in my wardrobe forever. It was made out of alpaca. Like it was beautiful. And it was all like everything, and every artist that was in our store, everything was done with fair trade and with the animals in mind and things like that. Like, you know what I mean? So, and I didn't normally wear animal things, but it was just so beautiful. And like they showed a picture of the woman, with her alpaca farm, and you know what I mean? And it was like really cool to, be a part of that. So it's not just like going to the mall and buying a shirt. It's about investing in who you are, but also remembering that if you're someone that, like earlier when I spoke of that woman that's like, oh my gosh, you look different all the time. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I was going through some old pictures and I was like, over a span of 10 years, my hair has been like, I think 10 or 15 different colors, like seriously. And everything from hot pink to white blonde to, dark blue and purple, or like I did a mermaid thing where I did like half and half, I did a few of that kind of thing. And I'm still there. You know what I mean? It's still my face. It's still me, but it's just me like showing off different parts of me. And you're not going to be the same. Like I was just really wanting dark hair this winter. I really wanted it so badly. And I just allowed myself to do that. I was like, and I love it. And there have been other times where I've had dark hair and I was like, oh, I look so washed out, or I feel ugly. And I was like, no, for whatever reason, like I'm really been loving it. Then I'm like, shopping for some things the other day, and I got the vibe from Spirit I was drawn to this hair color, and I was like, really? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, that makes sense, because I feel like I'm at the end of a dark period, and I was like obsessed with wearing like dark nail polish, and now I'm like, I can't even put the dark polish on my hands because now it doesn't feel like me. But when I got it, I loved it. You know what I mean? It was only 4 months ago. So allow yourself to be who you are, where you are, and meet yourself there. Don't force yourself out. You know what? You want to color your hair fucking, pumpkin orange? Do it. Do it. You hate it? Get rid of it. You know what? The other day, I when Spirit was like talking to me about that, I was like, oh, I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, that's like I would have to bleach my hair to do that. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, and I had bought this bleach like sometime last year, and I was going to do this other color. And long story short, I realized they wanted me to have the bleach now. And when I'm ready, I'll do it. And then when I'm ready to have that color, it'll happen, But I like that connection of being where I am now, but also it's okay to get excited about what's coming down the pipeline. I know they were saying go with the flow, don't try to control everything. Exactly. But if something comes into your orbit and you're like, I'm not really feeling that now, it may not be for now. It might be for later. You may be in the flux of a transformation. Drink some water, Spirit said, for all of us. You may be in the flux of a transformation, but you're not quite there yet. They want me to read the back of your card, and then because I just heard, and these are your angel messages. So I feel like that's what was being channeled. And a lot of times they use my life expression so that I can share something with you and get more expressive about it because it's from an intimate experience. But definitely get this book. This book will change your life. And even if you've read this book before, you're being challenged actually to read the book again from different eyes, from a different place, because we change all the time. All the time. all the time. And in this book, The Four Agreements, they are: don't make assumptions, be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, and let's see, what's the fourth one? Ooh, there's a lot that are like, don't take anything personally, because I can't remember the fourth one right now. What's this one? Ooh, they're all saying don't take anything personally. You guys, that's like a clear message to you. So don't make assumptions means like, don't make assumptions of who you think you are. How about instead, this is about who you are becoming. Also, they said it's on the back of the book, or the back of the thing. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Okay, so the number one is be impeccable with your word. Number two, don't take anything personally. Number three, don't make assumptions. And number four, always do your best. So that's all they're asking from you. They're not like asking you to rewrite, your whole story. They're just asking you to be in contact and in touch with like who you are now and not who you were. Okay, so on the back of the card it says, when you stop making assumptions, your word becomes impeccable and your life is completely transformed. Magic just happens in your life when you need, Magic just happens in your life. What you need comes to you easily because spirit moves freely through you. So you may even want to work with the butterfly spirit medicine as well. Or maybe you're somebody who's like really into butterflies and it's like, well, that's why. Because, butterflies, that's the magic of the butterflies, is that, they start as a caterpillar inching across the ground, and then they go into this cocoon state. And I don't know if they have awareness of that, you know what I mean? And then when they come out of the cocoon state, not only can they still be on the ground, but now they can fly. So Spirit's saying, you know that old saying, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me, right? So assumptions are saying like, don't make assumptions about who you, and also they're saying like, I'm hearing for some of you, you're so freaking hard on yourself. Please stop being hard on yourself. Another channel, so again, in the description box, I'll put a link if they have me put in for the Four Agreements, maybe to buy it somewhere, or just a link for it. You could probably get it at your library. It's been out for years. I mean, I got this book like almost 15 years ago and it had already been out for some time. And when the deck came out, I was like a no-brainer. I was like, because I just thought it was so beautiful. Because if you really live by those four agreements, then you don't have angst or anger or frustration, or, you know what I mean? Because like, you understand that it kind of plays into magic too, right? Like magic is all about, manifestation is speaking it into being, right? And spelling, like when you're spelling and you're doing spells, it's like you're bringing it into fruition. And so they're saying, in order for you to transform your life, you need to bring all of yourself through this transformation, and not just your hair, or not just, you know what I mean? Like for some of you, it's going to be a huge overhaul. It's going to be your lifestyle, because they have that little crystal on life. And I feel like for some of you, I just got the chills. I feel like for some of you, you're really struggling financially, or you're trying to figure out like where to go or what to do, like for a job. And they're like, exactly, but that may be part of it. I remember I worked at this one job, and like over my lifetime, I've been up and down, where like I've been like boldly wearing, certain clothes, fashions. I mean, at one point I had 3 walk-in closets and 55 vintage coats. I mean, I was like really into it. And I had this vintage building, and I lived in a vintage building that was so cool that it had like built-ins for hats and shoes and whatever. It was so rad. And I remember when I would have like get-togethers and people would come over, and literally like my girlfriends would get like, fucked up and be like, can we play in your closet? And I'm like, yeah, dude. I'm like, and they would be like, dude, look at this. And the same thing, they'd be like, I can never wear this. And I'm like, do you want to borrow that? I'm like, it actually looks better on you than me, So also, I heard clothing swaps and vision boards are going to be, if you're watching this in 2026 in real time, this is a big deal for you. And if you don't know of any in your area, start one. Send out a thing to all of your favorite friends. And even if you only have like 2 or 3 friends, be like, hey, bring your favorite friend. You know what I mean? And it's so fun you bring clothes, like you just go through your wardrobe and you bring clothes, shoes, jewelry, purses, whatever. And this for men too. I mean, you could do this with, anything. It's just, you don't have to be just girls, but that's what we did. And it was so fun. We would have these get-togethers and, we'd have, cocktails and like little snacky foods and we would just, have some wine and conversation, and we would bring all of the clothes and put them in piles. And if like more than one person wanted something, then we would have each other try it on and be like, okay, let's be honest, like who does this look the best on? And sometimes it was really hard because it'd be like, oh man, looks good on both of you. But the cool thing was, it was like, why don't you take it for a while, and when you're ready, give it to me, And I loved that. It's like a rotating closet, so you don't have to go out and spend a lot of money or, invest a lot of time and energy when you're not even sure what you want or don't want. And if you don't like anything in the pile, I've seen that happen too. I have seen that happen. I'm like, there's not one thing. I'm like, dude, there's so much shit here. Because I had some friends who'd bring like 3 things, and I had friends who'd bring like 4 suitcases, and you're like, oh my God, you're like, I love you so much, So I'm hearing like that would be really good for you. And also just talking to people and being like, I'm trying to figure out like what I want to do, or and be like, hey, what do you guys think I should do with my hair? I mean, most of the time it's better to just stay on your own, but it is nice to, in terms of like while you're going through a metamorphosis and a transformation like that. But at the same time, it is really nice to have other people who just maybe just run your creative brain to be like, oh, I wasn't thinking that color on my hair, or I wasn't thinking I would ever wear skirts like that, or whatever, just whatever. Also, vision boards are super big. So in real time, we're just 9 days into 2026. So I feel like this is going to be a big theme for us. And because 2026 is a 10 year, it's about completions and new beginnings, but January is a 1 as well. It's the first month of the year, so it's like you got 2 1s there, and today's a 9, and if you add them together, it's still the number 11 and comes to 2, of course, which is lovely. But I feel like I knew right away, like this was going to be some type of angel reading. Sorry, I feel like I'm trying to speak different languages right now. But I get from spirit that it's just time for you to have something in your life that feels like you, even if it's fleeting, even if it's in the moment, and it's nobody's darn business. You know what I mean? It's nobody's beeswax. Like, you don't need to know or whatever. And also, if you have anybody in your life who's negative or a naysayer, they shouldn't be in your life. I'm sorry, I love you, but no. You should have someone in your life, anyone, friends, family, employer, that's like, you can be yourself. Yesterday, I was at my co-op, and because I've lived here for almost 2 years and been going to this co-op for almost 2 years, I know almost every single person that works there. So when a new person starts, I can be like, oh. So yesterday, I went into this line, and because I was drawn in by this magical creature. She looked like this little like fairy mermaid witch, and she was just darling. Everything about her, from her makeup to her crazy hair colors and crazy good, you know what I mean? Just like amazing. She was just amazing. And then like her outfit was like, she was wearing black, and then she had like this cincher on that was like a spider web. Like, I was like, she's fucking awesome. I'm like, I love her. But I love my co-op that they let her be that way, and I allow her to be herself, basically, is what I'm saying, right? Like, and she's not the only one. Like, we have a lot of people that work there that are all like men, women, like, it doesn't matter. They dress and look like, there's one person that works there, and sometimes they're dressed more like in quote unquote like masculine, like everyday clothes, and sometimes they come to work and they're dressed as a woman, and they wear dresses and pearls and still have their beard and whatever, and nobody says anything. Like, no, we're like, cool, he's really cool. He does go by he's really cool, but that's who he is, and he's straight. So, there's something about that. There's something about being around your people. And I didn't realize, because when I moved over to this area, I really loved it and I was drawn to it. But there's also a lot of politics up here, because this area was indigenous forever. And then it became like, more like vacation-y. And then like the white people, quote unquote, rich white people started coming up here and taking over and buying things. So they, once people have money and they buy things or they invest money in the area, they like automatically feel like they have a right to everything. And it's just not the way it works. So I get really frustrated about that. But I do love that this place, it feels comfortable. It feels safe. You know what I mean? And I feel like I can be myself. I use my pendulum in the store all the time. In the whole area where I live, I use my pendulum, which you guys, those of you who know me, oh my gosh, I lost Penji. I mean, I lose pendulums all the time, and I'm meant to when it happens, but some will stay with me for years, and then it's like really upsetting. They just like disappear. And I'm like, I don't know. So I know where I left it yesterday, but it was like in this area that's like wooded. And I'm like, we had just finished running our errands. Anyway, long story short, I was like, the next time I go in that area, I'll look for it. And if it's there, I'm meant to have it again. And if not, it'll just go into the earth, or somebody will find it, you know? But anyway, I'm like, oh, Penge. But I've been using, but it's interesting because I keep going back to this, which was actually my grandmother's, and I use it for different things. So, you know, if you're not somebody who normally uses a pendulum, you may want to maybe use that as well while you're going through your transformative thing, in terms of like, because sometimes when we're going through a transformation, there's like a big disconnect between our true selves and our higher selves. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, because our true self is our higher self, you know what I mean? But also, like, there's a facade that sometimes that we build up about ourselves that may not necessarily be true. Does that make sense? And so I know that whenever I lose a pendulum, the first thing I ask Spirit is, am I done? Like, would you like me to stop using a pendulum? Would you, you know? And there's always some reason why. And because it just happened, you know, like 24 hours ago, I'm kind of still processing it. But it's interesting because that happened right before I started going shopping. And I use my pendulum to shop to get my fruits, my vegetables, so that I don't have to pick them up and smell them and, you know, whatever. But I realized yesterday how attached I was to my pendulum too. So I also feel like there's a lesson there for me. So it's a fine line when we use divination tools, you know, even with oracle cards. You know, I have some people who are like, oh, I pull cards for myself every day. And I'm like, oh, I don't do that, you know, but I use my pendulum all day, you know. But I don't like to pull cards for myself because I want to see like how I'm feeling and the direction. And a lot of times if I'm feeling a little ungrounded or unsettled, even after a meditation, I may have cannabis and then go, okay, this is where I'm meant to be today, or that, you know, but that's me, because I work as a medium. So my life is a lot different than most people. But I too am going through a massive transformation. So allow your magic as well to go through this transformation as you are going through it. I think that's it. Sometimes it's interesting. Sometimes I'll get like where I feel like, how long am I going to keep talking? And then other times it's like really interesting, because then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're done. Especially the angels. When I work with the angels like this, like specifically, because we always have our guides. And when I call in and do readings, I always call in, you know, all energies that are meant to be here for whoever, you know, like they know what's going to happen, whatever. I already know too, right? So it's already done. However, at the same time, there's something to that connection. And then like with certain entities, and angels are like that in my experience, like they'll just be like, okay, bye. Like, okay, there you go. Like, you know, you can peace out. Like they don't even do that. Like a lot of times they're just, so anyway, so just taking a few deep breaths, close your eyes. I'm going to ring another bell. And this is the bell that I want you to kind of take out with you. This is one of my favorite ones. Okay. And let this energy just clear away any old thoughts, programming, anything that is holding you back from your true self. All right, reading one. Those are your messages. We love you so much. Until next time, take really good care of yourselves and each other. We love you. And if you would like to work with me one-on-one or contribute to this channel, there's links and information in the description box for you to do that. All right, see you next time. Bye. Welcome, reading two. This is actually kind of cool because it's very rare that I won't use the cover card first. This was the first card I pulled, but they wanted the other card as the cover card. So interesting, maybe because you may not have come to it, right? Because the poison may have been a little too much for you to understand or bear. It's interesting. I felt like they kept wanting me to pull out like all the crystals and all the stones. Like they just wanted to like get. So two things right away. As I was coming in to start your reading, I heard this song. Oh gosh, I think it's from Etta James. And she's like, something told me it was over, baby. When I saw you and her walk in. It's an old song. It's either Etta James or it could be, no, I think it's Etta James. But anyway, I will find it and I'll look for it. Look for the link in the description box and I'll put like music from reading to or something because I can't think of the name of it right now. If it comes to me, then obviously I'll do that, or if it's in the title of the song. But I feel like there's multiple meanings to this. So just like I feel like Spirit saying like just relax and take a moment, take a breath, because there's a lot that's going to be coming through. Now, remember, these are angel messages, messages in real time. Today is January 9th, 2026, and it comes out to the number 11. So I felt a reading coming through right when I woke up this morning. And then I automatically felt the angels. So I feel like your angels are really trying to talk to you right now. And I immediately can tell that this reading is so different from reading one. So this deck is from a book called The Four Agreements by Miguel Ruiz. There'll be a link in the description box if you want to check it out. The book is very old. You could probably even find it at your library if you aren't in a comfortable position to buy it. But if you are, I would highly recommend you buy it. It's such a great book. And the four agreements are: number one, be impeccable with your word. Number two, don't take anything personally. And number three, don't make assumptions. And number four is always do your best. So don't take anything personally. Don't, look at this. It's saying become immune to poison. And I feel like they wanted you to see that one first, but we are going to bring in your other card right now, which is don't make assumptions and be aware of unconscious assumptions. So you may be inadvertently making assumptions about yourself and others that you don't even realize you're doing. Like, let me give you an example. And this is a really tough one for me to talk about because it's not something that I'm proud of, but it's just unfortunately the programming. So I grew up in a very racist family and racist area. And so there are times where I don't even realize that I will see something and go, oh, I don't know if I want to watch that. Like, let me give you an example. Hallmark movies. Love them, watch them all the time. Even though it's the same stories over and over and over, there's still something about it that like brings me some type of calm and peace, right? So for the longest time, it was, you didn't really see any type of people outside of white people in lead roles. Like if you saw, African American or Asian or whatever in Hallmark movies, they're usually the friend, right? Or the boss or something like that. But rarely were they the star. Then they started becoming more inclusive, which I love. I mean, they're even doing, episodes now. They're not just covering like gay couples, but they're covering, transgender and all that, which is really cool. And a lot of people don't realize this, but Hallmark's a Canadian-based company. I always say I feel like Canada was like what US like always dreamed of being, but unfortunately let other shit get in the way. I'm not saying Canada's perfect, but I'm just saying at least, they care more about their people than America does. That's for sure. So, anyway, with that being said, it was cool to see the inclusiveness. But I found that when I would see a movie that would be like, let's just say a quote unquote black girl and a white guy, I wasn't immediately drawn to watch it. And this is something that I didn't realize was happening until I caught myself doing it. And I didn't even realize I was doing it because it's unconscious. I was making unconscious assumptions. And I'm not, anybody who knows me knows, I love everybody. I don't give a shit. I don't care who you are, what color your skin is, who you sleep with, who you love. I'm like, hey, as long as you're happy and you're not hurting anybody, and everybody's, you know what I mean? Cool, good for you. That's always been the way I am. But I do find that. And then it was really interesting to me because somebody in our family reached out to me and they're like, "Can I talk to you? I really want to talk to you." And I was like, "Okay, what's going on?" I thought they were going to come out or something. Like, I was just like, oh my gosh, because this was somebody who, you know, anyway, long story short, drink some water if you have it. Stay hydrated. It's an important thing to do right now, especially with the angel energies when we're working with them. But she's like, I just got to tell you, I started dating this person. And I was like, okay. I mean, I literally was like, that's the only thing I could think of. I literally was like, that's the only thing I could think of. And this was somebody that I didn't really think one way or the other, but if they were, I was like, okay, sure. I could see that. But at the same time, I was curious. So they proceeded to tell me that they were dating somebody of a different color than them. And I was like, okay, seriously, like, you like scared me. I'm like, they're like, are you kidding me? You know how racist our family is or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I know. I'm like, but the weird thing about my family is they don't think they're racist, but I remember one time my dad's like, I have a black friend. I go, he is kind of a friend. I'm like, he works for you and, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, but I hired him. I didn't have to hire, a black person if I didn't want to. And I was like, okay. Anyway, so, but I didn't realize just how much it was ingrained in me. Then I started really, really connecting with Monty Mater, who's another, like, I just love her. She's amazing. But same thing, like, I watched one of her episodes and she was saying, like, she didn't realize how ignorant she was until other people were pointing out her ignorance. Like, she had this keychain with the Confederate flag on it and something else because she came from a Christian nationalist family. And her friend, who was African American, said, hey, like, you may not want to have that on your keychain, just so you know, like, because it's very, to other people, it may seem insensitive and you're kind of sending a message that you're racist. And they just were fully unaware. They were like, oh, I didn't even think of it, right? Because the programming starts with our parents and our community. So it could even be like, I don't know how much further we're going to go into that, but I feel like this is such a different way I thought this reading was going. But I feel like for some of you, it may be that the poison is like the people, the places, the environment that's around you. And maybe you've become immune to it, but it's still unconsciously seeping in. And maybe you're making assumptions about others and yourself, because I just heard limitations. So I'm hearing you're putting limitations on yourself. You're putting limitations on others because you're making assumptions of who you think they are. And Spirit's like, okay, but take some steps back and look at the bigger picture and the broader spectrum and see who you are and see your situation through different eyes. So I purposely started like watching these Hallmark movies that were different from the norm because I realized it was part of reprogramming my brain. When I was growing up, one of my dear friends, she again was dating a black guy, and I was like, dude, I'm like, that could be a scary situation. So whenever I wanted to hang out with her and her boyfriend, we had to go into his neighborhood. He was not allowed to like come into our neighborhood. Like, that was just not going to happen. My mom and my stepdad retired to this beautiful area in Arkansas, and it's beautiful. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's in the Ozark Mountains. It was magical, beautiful. But I remember when I was moving, and they'd been building it for years and just like going down, for like holidays in the summer and stuff like that. But like, and we're from Chicago. But when they were retiring and they were going to move in there, she said, I trust you if you want to have like a party with your friends. If you want to have a gathering there, I would totally be okay with that. And I'm like, okay. Well, at that time, my group of friends were very diverse because I'd gone back to college. And one of my friends I met through fashion, he is 6'8" and black. I used to say, I mean, seriously, he reminded me so much of LL Cool J. I mean, so much. He looks just like him. But he was just, I mean, it was crazy. I'm like, you guys literally must be related because like they just looked so much alike. It was crazy. Even down to like that like happy, joyful demeanor, like when they would like smile and like light up a room. And I was like, dude. Anyway, so I was telling him about this gathering and he's like, oh my gosh, he's like, I'll go. Because it was like a 10-hour drive each way. And I was like, are you sure? I'm like, I mean, we're going to take like probably like a whole week because it takes, you could drive down in one day or like sometimes we would like break it up and drive halfway and then like, you know, stay at a hotel and then like drive the rest of the way. So long story short, I didn't think anything of it because why would I think anything of it, right? So I'm telling my mom, I'm going off the guest list and telling her like of the people that I was going to invite. And when I told her that Sean was coming, she said, oh. And I said, what? And she's like, I don't know. Just do me a favor. She's like, just drive straight like there. Like she basically said in so many words, like, I wouldn't like go out, you know, basically. I was like, what are you talking about? And I had remembered this conversation that we had had one of the times I went down there to visit my parents. And there was this lady, we were in this thrift store, and she said, have you ever noticed that there's no black people here, but there's Confederate flags everywhere? And I was like, yeah. And she said, the head of the KK lives here, or KKK, whatever. And I was like, oh. And I looked at my mom and I go, way to go, Mom. I'm like, why would you retire to such a horrible place? And she's like, well, obviously I didn't know it was like that when we, you know, started building our place down here. But yeah, she's like, I've noticed over the years. So, I mean, the fact that my mom even had to say that and like, I was really taken aback. You know what the interesting thing is? I ended up canceling it. We ended up not doing it because I thought if he can't come, then nobody's coming. Like, that was just so weird to me. I couldn't even believe it. And because he was so big, it's not, I mean, he would stick out. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I'm like 5'2 3/4. And even when I'd have my heels on and like we'd go out together, like, you know, I mean, he towered over me, like towered over me. Like my eyes were like at his like belt buckle. You know what I mean? He's a big fucking dude. So, you know, it's just so we don't realize like just how far and how deep the programming goes. And we are now seeing that in like just in huge, not just in America, but we're seeing it all over the world, just like how silly it is, you know, to dislike someone for the way they look or the color of their skin or who they love or whatever. And if you are going through any type of transformational experience, and if you were drawn to reading one, you may want to go look at it. But if not, it was very specific and it was about transformation, which is why they had the butterfly on the front. So if you're drawn to it, that just came out. So at least one person, there's some pearls in there for you. If not, don't make it your story. But I'm hearing for some of you that it's hard for you not to take anything personally because I feel like maybe you were brought up that way or, you know, it's hard for you to become immune to the poison when it's been like so deeply rooted and ingrained in like your person, like who you are. I mean, this is seriously so far off the cuff of where I thought this was going, but like because nothing has stopped me or diverted me, I know that these are the words that and the stories they want me to share. So I'm gonna on the back of these cards they have more information. So I'm gonna jump into my eyes keep going to don't take anything personally and become immune to poison. So let's see what the back says. This says the whole world can gossip about you, and if you don't take it personally, you're immune. Immunity to poison in the middle of hell is the gift of the second agreement, which is don't take anything personally. In the description box, you'll see there's a link for a channel on YouTube called Style Like You. I think that's what it's called. It's either Style For You or Style Like You. I think it's Style Like You. And we talked about it a lot in reading one. Because for some people, you know, the outward appearance is just as important as the inner like love. You need to love everything about yourself. Or if you're wearing like a mask or a costume that's not yours, you know. Another episode started right after that, and I was setting up the reading, and it was about this really famous drag queen in New York who is like, I never ever thought I would be this person. Like when the interviewer showed up, they weren't in like a cool outfit or like in full drag or whatever. They were just like themselves, sans makeup, wigs, just like a t-shirt and jean shorts. And they're like, I'm really feeling like this is me. And I think that there's something powerful about that too, right? Like sometimes you just need to take it all off and see who you really are underneath. And they said there were a lot of things that led them to do that, but they said one of them was, just realizing that like they're not their things, they're not their clothes, they're not their hair, they're not their, you know, tchotchkes, like cute things they picked up at a yard sale, right? They're like, I am, like, if you strip it all away, who am I underneath? And I feel like this is, I don't know what that picture is supposed to be on the second card, or I guess the cover card, the Don't Make Assumptions card. But what I did see is it looked like somebody was like wiping down. Now that I look at it, I'm like, is it a hammock? Like, I don't even really know like what this is. But when I first saw it, this looked like a hand or like an arm to me. And this was like a hand with like a rag over it. Now it kind of looks like an octopus. That's interesting. Oh, that's the second thing. They wanted me to tell you the spirit animal that came in that wanted to work with you is the donkey, which is so random. I know, right? Like, but I have this cute donkey, porcelain donkey cookie jar. It's awesome. It's like one of my favorite things. But I love donkeys. They're like one of my favorite animals in the world. And a lot of people are, they think of donkeys and the spirit medicine is that it's, overcoming like stubbornness. But the reason why donkeys have, especially the ones that are a little more, I don't know if I'd say aggressive, but more on the like, side, or they're like the ones that kick or whatever. They're incredibly intelligent. Donkeys are incredibly intelligent. People who've worked with donkeys and horses, I'll tell you, every single one of them has always told me, I've worked with some really smart horses, but like donkeys are incredibly intelligent. And, they don't get they don't have the same allure, right? As like, if you put in an old, donkey next to a Siberian or an Arabian, horse, right? Beautiful, like perfect, like, from, groomed and, maybe like 10 years old and they're like in their prime, like going into this, and trust me, the donkey's going to give you more run for your money. There's something really powerful about it. So work with the donkey. But I also kind of felt like that was like clean it up, basically, when I saw the rag. So I don't know if that means anything for anybody. Also, I think this is a sun at the bottom there, but that kind of looks like a paw to me, because I wanted to say Siberian Husky, and I almost feel like for some of you, I feel like you need a familiar. It's time for you to bring an animal into your life. So whatever that means to you. I mean, it could be an iguana, it doesn't have to be a dog or a cat or a horse or a donkey, but if you have the means, definitely, if you have the pasture for it, I mean, maybe you're meant to get a donkey, I don't know, but they're great teachers. In my personal experience, I love them. Like, I've fallen deeply in love with them, and I always thought they, weren't as pretty as a horse, or they want you, right? Like, I was making assumptions of like what I thought a donkey was. So that's interesting. Okay. So beware of unconscious assumptions. And then on the other side, it says, assumptions are made so fast and unconsciously most of the time because we have agreements to communicate this way. We have agreed that it is not safe to ask questions. We have agreed that if people love us, they should know what we want or how we feel. Oh, man. I was talking about this in reading one. You know that old saying of assumptions, or assume? When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. Yeah, because when you assume, even if you know somebody really, really well, you don't always know exactly what they're going to do. You're not in their brain. Like, you don't know what they're going to do. Or even if you are like myself, I'm a telepathic medium and have to work a little bit harder not to be in people's brains. But even so, it's like, that is fleeting. We can change our mind and our mood and, you know what I mean, every second of every day, even in dream state, especially if you get really good at realizing. I remember when I started working with astral traveling and dream state and dream lodge and all that, and I started to realize, like, that I would talk to other people and they're like, oh yeah, dude, I can control my dreams. This is how I can, and then we started to like go deeper into it. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. So, the human mind and the unconscious of the mind and the soul is very, very deep. And there is so much that is happening under the surface for all of us at any given time. So, you know, the line of that keeps coming out is not safe to ask questions. If you're in any type of situation where you don't feel safe, that is not the place for you. In every aspect of your life, you should feel safe. Obviously, if you're driving down the road and you feel safe and everything's good, and then, somebody comes out into the road and something happens or whatever, and you're like, things happen. But in your everyday, you should feel safe in your home. Every minute of every second you're in there, you should feel safe at your job. Every second, every minute that you're there, you should feel safe in your community. These are very powerful things. So it says assumptions are made so fast and unconsciously most of the time because we have agreements to communicate this way. Again, this is programming. These are angel messages. These are messages coming from the angel realm where they're like trying to remind you that, sticking to these 4 agreements, as simple as they may seem, are going to change everything. And now my eyes are going to the other card and the second line on the bottom where it says hell is the gift. Because not reading the rest of the card, but hell is the gift. And when we are in a quote unquote hell state, it just means we're in a place that we are learning, we are growing. And something that came through yesterday from Spirit was really powerful. And I kept hearing my way. It was like Jessie J saying my way at the 2026, New Year's Eve thing. And then it's just been coming up a lot. And then last night I stayed up till like 4 a.m. I don't know, I was just going through a lot of stuff. I've been going through a lot of transformations myself. And when I put the music on, the first song that came on was My Way from Elvis. And I was like, and of course, because like my dad was a big Elvis person. And so my family, that's crossed over, my spirit guides. And one of the things that Spirit was like drilling into me was that line where they say regrets. I have a few, but then again, too few to mention. And what I realized was, well, in a weird way, regrets, Spirit said to me, regrets are lessons. It's not a negative thing. Like if you're like, oh, I wish I had done that. All right, well, it's a lesson of, well, if you felt it and you didn't do it, then it is on you. It is on nobody else. It is on you. You knew it, you felt it, but you went against it. Moving into 2026, whenever you watch this, they're always timeless, but the real time is January 9th, 2026, which is also the number 11. These are angel messages talking to you, telling you that you have the choice. And this year is like one of those years astrologically that is so magical. And the way that things are going to align, they're saying, if not now, when? And I don't know if they're going to have me pull any more cards, but I kind of felt like I was meant to pull one more card. Oh, I was. So this says, don't take anything personally. See other people as they are. And I heard, and not who you want them to be. And some of these people, here's the thing. If people are trying to change to keep you in their life, they're not going to actually change. Because any type of change and transformation has to come from an actual want and desire to do so for yourself and yourself alone. It is a benefit to others if this change that you're implementing is going to be successful and bring, better energy, awareness, whatever to your life and your community, your friendships, your relationships. But at the same time, it's about understanding that sometimes people, like I've heard for years, people don't change. And it really upsets me when people say that, because I'm like, I'm literally living proof that that's false. And the more I changed, the more people around me did not like it. And you want to know why they didn't like it? Because then that means that they would have to change too. So it's easier to make fun of you or say, whatever. I mean, look at, they're saying right here, the whole world can gossip about you. But if you don't take it personally, you're immune. And your mission, should you choose to accept it for 2026, is to walk through unabashedly as yourself And if you want to change, this came up in reading 1. So if you want to change your insides, outsides, both, you know what I mean? Like you want your outside to reflect your inside or vice versa, you have to do the work to do it. And you cannot give a shit what other people think. And if people are mean to you or whatever, that's who they are, you know? And that just means that they can't change because they don't want to change. Ooh, look at that. That card just fell down, right? Because they're taking they're in their own poisonous hell. Do you know what I'm saying? Like they're telling themselves that they cannot change, but you can. The other side of this says, when you see other people as they are without taking it personally, you can never be hurt by what they say or do. Even if others lie to you, it's okay. They're lying to you because they're afraid you will discover that they're not perfect. And that is a tough one. That is a toughie. Because again, you know, I had this one family member and she was just fucking brutal. Like she was so mean to me. Like it was so awful. And thank goddess, like, you know, my other family started to be like, whoa, like, hey, you're kind of being an asshole, you know? Because it hurt. It hurt me that they couldn't see me for like, and be happy for me that I'm changing. I feel like that just wants to be in front of here. So I'm not going to fight it. I'm like, whenever the cards like do their own thing, like, look at that. And maybe this was a lesson for you too. Stop trying to fight things. Stop trying to find they're saying stop trying to fight, or stop fighting, not even trying. They're saying stop fighting your transformation. And for some of you, you are real earth angels. You're not crazy. I'm an earth angel. It took me years to accept that. When I tried to say that to my mom, you know, her very right-wing Christian Republican, you know, whatever, like she didn't want to see it. She's like, oh, it's just another phase, because I've gone through so many phases and jobs. And I'm like, no, Mom, this is the one that's going to stick. And she's like, you always say that. And I'm like, well, I know for a fact this is different. She didn't want to hear that. None of my family wanted to hear that. So I'm at this family gathering and I was always good time Charlie. And this family member's like, you're not drinking. Oh my God. She's like, what an act. Like she just kept like, it was like she just wanted me to be, it was angering her. It was actually making her angry. Then I started to notice my other family members and some of my friends, which by the way, I talk to none of them anymore. I tried for years and I tried to be who I was with them. And I had one family member I was trying to have more of an intimate, you know, connection with them and a friendship and a relationship. And they literally told me, like, because they were used to having a different relationship with me. And so when I was just like, oh, you know, I love you. Thank you so much. Like, you're so sweet. And like, blah, blah. Like, I was like, that's how I really am. That's how I feel. They're like, oh my God, you're so queer. You're so weird. They're like, get away from me. They're like, why are you acting like that? I'm like, I'm not acting like anything. I'm like, because unfortunately they saw a person for years. I was wearing masks. I was being a different version of myself to fit in, to be accepted, to feel normal. But then I was like, why am I trying to be normal? There is no fucking normal. Normal is a programming. We are all different. We're all beautiful and diverse and singular, and we're meant to be that way. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, reading 2, is become immune to fucking poison. I mean, I'm serious. And you know, it's interesting because a lot of the people who were so mean to me, some I was expecting it, you know, and some I was really surprised. They were always on my side. I was like, wow, this is, and I hate to even say like, and I don't like to use the word hate even, but I dislike that, you know, energy, but it's true. I mean, I was really surprised. One of my family members who's crossed over now, we were talking the other day and I was like, I just started crying and I felt like my chills go over my body, like they kind of hugged me, you know, because they were like, I'm so sorry I did that too. And I'm like, I know you are. I'm like, but that like really hurt because they were, no matter how weird I was or whatever, they always looked out for me and they always were my greatest cheerleader. But then they started to get really religious in their older years and they're older than me. And so when I started to come out as a witch and a telepathic medium and all that, like they just, they literally said to me, we went out to dinner together when I was home visiting, and it started out so great and we were having such a wonderful time together. And then somehow it came up about my work, and she just lost her shit, and she was just like, yeah, she's like, what the fuck, she's like, get my parents' picture off your fucking, what did you call it, your altar, your satanic fucking altar. And I'm like, it's not a satanic altar. It's altars have been used throughout history through religious sects forever. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, this is not, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? I was just like, it was crazy. And because I had posted, it was Samhain. And if those of you don't know what Samhain is, it's Day of the Dead, Dios de los Muertos. It's Halloween. It's the time when the veil between us and the ancestors that once walked this earth is the thinnest. And so that's a time to put things on your altar to bring in the ancestors or to honor them. And so I had a picture of my grandparents up there, and she just was so angry. She's my aunt. And I just, the way she spoke to me and the way she said that was just so ugly. And the irony is in the same visit, I was there for like 3 weeks. At the end of the visit, she had an accident. She ended up being okay, but like, I was there when it happened. She slipped and fell on the ice, and it was just really sad. And like her skirt flew up and she was like super embarrassed, and I just like I didn't care that she was mean to me that whole time. I still treated her the same. And there was this moment before everybody came over, and they were calling the paramedics and stuff, and she got really hurt. And before that happened, like, it was just me and her, and I just like protected her and loved on her, and I was caring for her, and she just looked at me with this face of like guilt and disgust. I just knew, I just knew. And I just looked at her and I smiled and I was like, it's okay. I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. Oh, it's starting to make me cry. Because I realized, I was like, it's not her. She had grown into that angry person, but that's not who she was. But in her moment of distress, we had a connection that she was like, I'm sorry, and I was like, it's okay. The programming is deep, you guys. And that's what the angels want you to know. Like, they love you. They're looking out for you. They know what we're going through is very difficult. They know that some of you have to stop talking to certain family members and friends and significant others. If you're in a relationship that's super unhealthy, like I have like broken up with and got back together with my partner, like, I don't even know how many times over almost 11 years. Like, I mean, seriously, like 30 times. I'm not exaggerating either. Like every year we'd have like some type of like drama, or like, I'm like, I deserve better, or, why are you so mean? Why are you so hateful? Because they were programmed from a father who was very angry and very mean, and a mother who didn't give them the divine feminine energy that they required. And so, they softened over the years with me, but then when we separated, they just started to kind of fall back into these patterns. Once they were alone and they were singular, they didn't have to be nicer. And one of the things they said to me was, it was really hard being with you. I had to work really hard at it every day. I'm like, yeah, because I took him to task. I'd be like, you cannot talk to me like that. You cannot treat me like that. You cannot, I'm sorry, I won't put up with that. And, when we start setting boundaries with people who abuse us in any way, shape, or form, especially when it's like a narcissist empath relationship, they're used to that dynamic that, maybe the relationship was born on and bred on and grew on. And that's what had happened with me, is that and I was the youngest for a long time, because my mom was the oldest of 6 and my dad was the middle of 8. So on my mom's side of the family, and my dad's side of the family, my dad and my mom got pregnant when they were 17 and 18, and it was the 60s. Their parents made them get married. It wasn't, one time sex, you have a baby. They're like, tough shit. Like, now you're married. And so that created a very volatile setting for the way I grew up. And my mom's family and my dad's family were so different. And so it was just a very difficult time. And I realized as I got older that, every one of us have gone through that. There's no such thing as a perfect family or a perfect situation or a perfect relationship. There's always something that's going to be underlying. And a lot of the romantic relationships and entanglements that we get into is usually some form of representation of our childhood that we're working through, or fighting against. So I feel like for you reading 2, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to really move forward in 2026. And whenever you watch this, just moving forward in general, with not giving a shit. Your mantra moving forward is, it's cool with me. You be you, boo, but that doesn't mean you have to take the poison. That doesn't mean you have to agree with what they're doing and what they're saying. And it's hard. I have many times where even though I know after this, I'm going to see the people that died again, my animals, the people, like, even though I know that, every fiber of my being knows that, there's still that connection that we have in our human life, that trauma bonding is a very real thing. So once you pull yourself out of that hamster wheel and out of that cycle, you'll start to love yourself more. You'll start to care more about you, because that's what I feel like. I feel like you need to care more about you and what you're doing and where you're going. And the angels got your back, and they want you to know, like, they got your back. Any more messages? No, that's it. Okay. Spirit or angels, do you have any more messages for reading 2 before we move on? Nope, those are your angel messages today, beautiful souls. I hope they helped you in any way. We love you so much. Happy New Year. All the information is in the description box. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one, I also work with couples and groups. I do all different types of things. So I'm an energy healer and a telepathic medium. And also, if you'd like to contribute to the work on this channel, there's links to do that as well. And remember that prayer is free. It's about the exchange of energy. Until next time, love you. Take good care of yourselves and each other. Blessed be. Oh, bye. Welcome, reading 3. When I looked down, it went to 1120. I feel like that is your angel number, and that hasn't come through with the other ones, which is ironic because we're doing angel messages today. But I did speak of that in real time. Today is January 9th, 2026, which comes out to the number 11. So that's kind of interesting. So you can work with that as well. But when I was pulling these cards, this was not the card I thought was going to be going on the front, but it is. We are using an oracle deck called The 4 Agreements, and it's actually from a book from Don Miguel Ruiz, and I highly recommend that you get this book. Even if you've read the book before, read it again. You're a different person, you're in a different time frame, a different place, everything energetically, and I'm just getting from spirit that, like, literally, you need to look at it. In this, the 4 Agreements, because I don't remember what your second card was, but I'm going to tell you what they are so that you'll be more informed going forward. So the first agreement is be impeccable with your word. The second is don't take anything personally. Number 3 is don't make assumptions. And number 4 is always do your best. So the angels want to talk to you today about being impeccable with your word. Let go of self-judgment and blame. I mean, look at their eyes aren't even open, they're like looking down. There's a sadness in this card. When I started putting this together, specific like crystals wanted to come through, like this lapis lazuli wanted to come in, this piece of jet wanted to come in, and this labradorite right here wanted to come in. So if you have the means to do so, you may want to work with them. If spirit calls me to, I will put them in the description box. Always check out the description box. There's always like little extra little fun things in there for you guys. But the other thing was, every time I grabbed this piece of, this is mahogany obsidian. So you may want to work with that as well. Maybe you're somebody who works with crystals and stones. I don't know. But when I started putting it together, I kept hearing Apache tear. I was looking at the obsidian, the mahogany obsidian, but I kept hearing Apache tear. So, and I was looking through my crystals and stones, and I know I used to have one, but I couldn't find it. So a lot of times I gift things to people, or sometimes spirit will have me wear crystals and stones on me when I go out into the world, and then I'll be shopping and I'll meet somebody and I'll be like, somehow something will come up and I'll be like, oh my gosh, this crystal's for you. So anyway, but I know I had it at one point because I remember being really drawn to it. And that's when I was really working with my indigenous ancestors, my Cherokee family. So I was really drawn to it. So those are the ones. And like I said, if spirit calls me to, I will put them in the description box for you. If you have them, work with them. If you have the means, if you don't and have the means to get them, absolutely. If you don't have the means to get them, remember you can still work with them without actually holding them. They just have more energy if you're holding them in your hand, or having them on your person or working with them, that kind of thing. But Apache tear, in fact, you know what? Hold on. I was checking my crystal Bible to see if it was in there, but I do have a crystal deck too, but I don't think I've ever seen it in there. Let me see. It's easy. It's right here. I can just grab it. Oh, interesting. I don't know who this is for, but we did have some animals come through and reading too. Actually, the horse, the donkey, and actually we've had a lot because we had the butterfly in the first one. So this little snail was up there, and I feel like there's some significance there, so I'm going to put it there. And I'm just going to look and see if there's any in this book. But you're the first one, and you're my last reading that it came up. No, it's not in this one either. So many crystals came up, So that's why I just saw the bottom of the deck, and this came up too. So maybe somebody needs to work with Sticktite and Serpentine. I was really drawn to this deck. Let me see if there's anything that comes through. Okay. I feel like I'm going to be doing a reading with this deck soon because I was really drawn to it, and it was only a few over from the deck we're using today. Okay, so I don't have them in my crystal Bible. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to research it. And I want to say it's like Apache tear or tearers, or Apache's tear or something like that. And if you're not familiar, Apache is a tribe, a Native American tribe in the United States. So it might just be like they probably call it that because it's like the area it's from, but the fact that it came up, and the labradorite, and the jet, and the lapis lazuli, and the mahogany obsidian, that's a lot. So I feel like maybe you're somebody who likes to work with crystals and stones, or if not, maybe maybe you've been wondering like where your path and your purpose lies right now, and I'm hearing start there. Okay, but also remember, slow and steady wins the race, which is why that little snail wanted to come in. And I don't remember what kind of stone. This was actually given to me as a gift. And when they gave it to me, I was like, oh, I love it. They're like, I said, out of the whole crystal shop, you were drawn to a snail. Because at the time I was like wanting to just move forward really quickly. And I was just like, really? That's what you were drawn to? And they were like, yeah. And I got upset, and they're like, oh, you don't like my gift. I'm like, well, it's not that. I guess it just made me sad because I felt like I was like taking up momentum. And to me, by somebody who's that gifted, I'm like, you're really gifted. So I'm like, if you were drawn to everything in the store, I'm like, were there other like crystal and stone animals? Or like, yeah, like a whole area. And I was like, I'm like, I trust your intuition. So if you're giving me a snail, I must need to, slow down. So that could be it for you too, is maybe they're like trying to help you. I mean, it says right on there, let go of self-judgment and blame. So maybe you're like putting yourself in a place where you think you're supposed to be somewhere where you're not, but don't do that to yourself. Also, I've been getting all these things with symbology lately. And there's this guy, I can't remember his name, but he was talking about how people have been so obsessed with the life spiral forever. And he's like, but I think the life spiral, or not, I don't know if he said I think, but like they were saying like in their experience working with symbology, that the life spiral is actually dangerous because they're like, it's like you're putting your energy out there and it's not like coming back to self. So because there's like the little life spiral on the snail show, I feel like that might be something for you to work with too. I mean, this could even just be for some of you that, whether it's to make money or not, or, you know what I mean? It could just be that like, maybe it's time for you to work more with symbology. Maybe you're meant to work with the Akashic Record right now. Maybe you're meant to work more with crystals and stones, whatever it is. Remember that these aren't just pretty things, they also hold energy, and some of them actually have like, I don't know if have you guys ever had crystals and stones that like you're like something's living inside there, you know what I mean? That there are energies and entities that can literally take up space in these stones. So it could even be for some of you that Spirit wants you to start getting more connected with, entities and energies. We had a lot of fairy energy in reading 1. So if you're drawn to reading 1, go check it out. If not, don't make it your story. But anyway, so on the back of these, they all have different things that they say. And this says, being impeccable, you take responsibility for your actions, but you do not judge or blame yourself for anything. Yeah, allow yourself to be where you need to be right now. I'm feeling like for some of you also, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up as well, that even though this crystal is meant for, it's prehnite and it's meant more for like, one of its main things is like sleep. Like it's really good to help aid with your sleeping and sleep patterns and stuff. This huge rock wanted to come in too. And every time I look at this, it just reminds me of like moss because it's like a really pretty mint green. It makes me think of earth. And then they had me bring in these colors and now this green. And now I'm actually seeing like mountains and like water and stuff. So it could be for some of you too, like you really need to get connected with nature. Interestingly enough, we were talking about Arkansas in one of the other readings, but there are places like in Arkansas and other places where you could take a vacation and literally pay like, I don't know how much it is, but like $25, $50 or something. And then you go to like these areas, these diamond mines or whatever. You see it all the time where people will find like a crazy, beautiful, diamond worth millions of dollars. So I feel like for some of you, like this could actually be like a lottery moment for you. I feel like you're meant to like go on some type of adventure like that, or like some type of like explore. This literally could be just for one person. So don't take this on if it's not your story, if it doesn't sound like you. But if you've ever had any interest, it's so random that it's not random, you know what I mean? But if you've ever had any interest in doing that, I feel like that would be really good for you to like have a vacation that is like a destination vacation where you're going to do something fun like that, like go digging for crystals or stones, or, they have them everywhere now where there are certain areas where like you can literally go mining for things. Maybe you're meant to go to the crystal caves. I don't know. I'm just feeling like this, for you to get like a more deeper, and even, I don't know if you heard that car go by, like it was like, oh, like deep, it felt like deep and guttural. I feel like you're meant to like do something like that, like going into caves, or maybe you've been thinking about going on a vacation to go check out a crystal cave or something. I'm just hearing like you need some type of adventure that's going to keep you immersed in nature. That's also the snail too. I mean, the snail is really closely linked to the ground, right? Like they're so close to the ground. So I'm just feeling like it's time for you guys to get more grounded and centered, but also, I know that they're talking about being impeccable with your word and taking responsibility and all that, but I feel like for some of you that you would judge that too. Like maybe if you're like, oh my gosh, can you imagine me telling my parents I'm going on a crystal adventure, right? Because maybe they're used to you going like, it's more natural to go on a cruise or go to Europe or whatever. And it's like, but why is that? Why? And who cares in the end? Like, who cares? It's your vacation. It's your trip. Like, who cares what anybody else thinks? Like, so anyway, there's a picture on the other card, and you may have seen it when I turned it over, but they want me to go to the words of the second card, which is really interesting. So it says, personal importance or taking things personally is the maximum expression of selfishness because we make the assumption that everything is about me, right? Do you ever do that? Like you're laughing and talking with your friends and like, and you're having a good time, and then like somebody leaves the room and then they come back and then people get quiet and they're like, what? Were you talking about me? Were you talking about me? It's like, when did we become so self-absorbed where we think everything's about me? I was like this too. And even now, I find myself being like that, because I'm so into self-care that sometimes, like, I don't really care what other people think. You know what I mean? If I'm in a self-care moment, I don't need to. There's this young woman, and I was wondering why they had me watch this, but now I see why. There's this young woman who has POTS. I think it's an immune disorder or something. I don't know. Anyway, but whatever it is, not just dismantling it or like dismissing it. I just don't remember exactly. it's something that was new to me, but she had a dog with her, and I've seen a few of her shorts. They'll pop up every so often, and she'll show like how her service animal takes care of her and gets her medicine and all this stuff, and it's really cool. But they had one, or she did an episode recently where she was going to the opening of a new Costco in her area with her dog. And she barely got in the store and she started to have an episode. And I personally was like, this is interesting. I wasn't like judging it, but I just thought it was interesting because I was like, if you know you have this, like, why do you go into, like, I'm not saying that they shouldn't be able to go live their life and go have fun and whatever, but it just sounded like something that would be like she was purposely putting herself in an overstimulated situation to essentially harm herself. And the way she, like, when she was having her attack, her dog reads the signs and her energy, right? She was trained to do this. And she put up this phone to like record it. And it was so bizarre to me because she ends up laying on the floor because that's the only thing she could do. It's almost like when you have the spins, right? Like you can't sit in a chair or whatever. Like you need to just lay on the floor and get connected to the ground. And so she was laying there and the dog was with her. But all these people kept stopping. And then she put things up like, if you see somebody having a medical emergency, just leave them be. And like, you don't know like what they're going through. And I was just like, it was just so weird to me because then I thought to myself, yes, but these people don't know you and they don't know what you're going through. And every person that stopped, they're like loving, like they're actually concerned because you're laying on the fucking floor in a Costco with your dog that has a thing strapped around them with a medical cross. So they obviously know that it's your service animal. So if you're laying on the ground, how the fuck do they know? You know, they don't know what is going on with her. She doesn't have like a little like sign or t-shirt that she's wearing that explains it. And I feel like she's trying to bring awareness and I see what she's trying to do and I commend her for that. But at the same time, I was like, I just thought it was really me. It was very selfish. I thought you're being kind of selfish. I'm not judging it. I'm just telling you my perception of it. It felt very selfish because it's like, I understand you're trying to bring awareness, but how are you bringing awareness to people that in your condition, you're passed out? Like there's like a part on the thing. She says something like, check this out. She's like, somebody's about to attack me or something, and of course, you know, it was the languaging. I don't know. I'm paraphrasing, so I don't know exactly what she said, but it sounded like that, right? Like it came across like, and then you see this woman who's like, are you okay? And she's passed out. Like she's not, you know, awake. And the woman, like, instead of bending down, she's an older woman, instead of bending down to help her, she's like kicking her. And I was like, who the fuck kicks a stranger who's on the ground? Like, she's not like, it's not a rattlesnake that's like not moving. And you're like, are you going to attack me? And you're kicking it to make sure that it, you know what I mean? It was so weird. Like, I mean, the whole thing was like, why am I watching this, Spirit? Like, why did this come into my orbit? And why am I watching this? But somehow it's coming up for you. So I feel like this is tying in for you. But it's like we all have our own level of awareness and conscious awareness of self, but we don't always have the awareness and conscious, awareness of someone else's self. So sometimes the me comes into like personal importance or taking things personally, right? It's like, I don't know. It was just a really interesting thing. I actually didn't continue watching it. I don't know how it ended, but I just thought it was really bizarre. I was like, why are you judging these people or like putting this out there? It's like, it just didn't make any sense. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, then I'm sorry if this comes across as judgy as from my end, but it was more of my perception of like, what's the point of this video? You know what I mean? I was kind of like, what are you trying to show people here? Like, what are you trying to, like, what's happening? Because sometimes things can get lost in translation. So, I'm going to go to the front of this card because now I feel like it's time. So it says, don't take anything personally, relinquish self-importance. And maybe that's what they were saying about her. Like, she's in one hand, she's like trying to, like, I get it. I totally get it. Like what she's doing. But on the other end, it's like, it's not a common condition. And the educational part of it is cool. but there's still some need, you know what I'm saying? There's still like some, because I thought, isn't that also like stressing the dog out? Like the dog's got enough to worry about. And then you want to bring him into a fucking store and like stress him out like that. I feel like if you're going to do something like that, then bring another human with you who can say, well, this is what's happening. You know, when this happens and she comes overloaded, she just passes out, which is why they tell them to lay on the floor and not sit in a chair, or not, because if you sit and like you pass out, you can fall a wrong way or you can get hurt. So this is what she was explaining, right? That so the most safe thing to do would be to just lay on the floor. But watching the dog, watching people, I was like, this poor dog. I'm like, I don't think she realizes, and because of what I do and what I am, I felt so much anxiety from the dog, you know, because it's their job to protect her and take care of her and look after her. And you could tell they take it very seriously. So I was like, girl, if you're going to do this, maybe you should like rethink. So I don't know if people commented or whatever, and maybe it was there for an educational lesson. But I think right now people are wanting so desperately and so badly to be heard and seen. And I love that. But we have to remember too that we have to take out the me part. Don't take shit personally. Everybody is going through something right now. Every single solitary being on this planet is going through something. Gaia herself, the goddess planet we live on, is going through the biggest transformation that she's been through in a long time. She too is going through something major. So we can't rely on the outside forces to make us feel better or to confirm or clarify or, you know, whatever our existence. That's our job. I feel like we got another card that wants to come in for you. Reading 3. Do we have another card for reading 3? Ooh, that was interesting the way that just happened. Do we have another? The fact that I'm shuffling tells me yes. So I don't know who that was for, and if they call me to, I'll put a link to the episode, but it was just so bizarre. I was just like, this is why am I, and not bizarre of what she's doing. I understood, but I just thought it was like, for me, I'm like, why is this in my orbit? So it might be for you, or maybe you're going through something like this, or maybe you're trying to help people to understand something about what you're going through, but you're taking shit way too fucking personally, and Spirit's like, you know what? Just pull yourself out of that. Okay, so since this is what showed itself, that's what's coming first. And it says, all the magic you possess is based on your word, and you can cast spells all the time with your opinions. You can either put a spell on someone with your word, or you can release someone from a spell. Wow. And I think what's powerful about that is, again, right, like you can make someone's day or destroy it in what you say. And when you think of it that way, it makes you realize how much power we have. And we talked about the narcissist empath relationship in one of the other readings. And that's one of the things too. Like the narcissist really secretly hates themselves. Like they don't love themselves and they take everything personally. Everything's about them. We all have narcissistic tendencies, right? It's kind of aligns and with the ego energy, right? And we need the ego to survive. We need to give a shit about ourselves to, you know, because otherwise we would die, right? We'd be like, you know, if you're playing the game, then you're in it, you're in it. But if you're just like sitting there waiting to die, then eventually that will happen. So we have to participate in our own existence. But I realized that when I was working with the narcissist empath relationship, I started to understand what it really meant, and that the narcissist is actually really vital in the empath becoming who they're meant to be in terms of not taking things personally. Because empaths, yes, we feel things or whatever, but it's about kind of pulling apart like what we feel and what our emotions are. You know what I'm saying? Like you can watch a movie and see something happen and you can feel empathy for that person and even cry, right? But it's not actually happening to you. But you may have had something in your story that aligns with that. That's why you're maybe crying harder, right? Because you're like, oh, I know what that feels like. I know what that's like. So you can have that, you know, energy. But I didn't realize how narcissistic I was until it was like put before me. And also working with master narcissists, you start to understand like what it really boils down to and what it means. And every narcissist I've ever known, like you can see that pride that they take in when they're fucking controlling another person. And when you think about that, it's like, it's so vile, right? We don't want to judge it. but it is a vile shadow part aspect of us. Because it's like, why would you want to relish in someone's discomfort for your joy? And that's very interesting. So the front of this, oh, I love this card. Be impeccable with your word. Become a white magician. So you can either spew like happiness and sunshine and wonderful things into the world, or you can spew darkness and hate and greed and, and I feel like these all want to come out together. So I don't know how they're going to have me do this, but okay. Let me go so we can like see them in our, and I feel like the snail is I feel like, here's the thing, you're gonna get to where you need to be, right? That old saying, what you seek is seeking you. That's so true. Like, whatever is meant for you will find its way to you, and Spirit wants you to remember that. Because for some of you, that is a huge struggle, is that you forget that you have this immense power to do good at any second, and at any given moment. You have the power to be the change, or you can be the problem. So I feel like, let go of self-judgment and blame for yourself and others. Release and let it go. It's old programming. It's old shit. But I think it's interesting that you started with be impeccable with your word, and you're ending with be impeccable with your word. In the middle, it's saying don't take anything personally. And also how in the beginning, her eyes are closed and looking down. In the middle, their eyes are open, but they're kind of like almost side-eyed looking. Do you see that? Like they're almost kind of like looking to the side. Like they're kind of like their eyes. Oh, see, but now it looks like their eyes are closed, but I saw them looking to the side, meaning like you're looking around like, what are people thinking of me? What's happening? And they're saying, you know what? You don't need to concern yourself with that. And then at the end, it's like this powerful being that their eyes are open. And, it's like stars also. I'm feeling for some of you, like that, if you don't know what to do with your life, or you're like, what should I, something with oration or something with your mouth, whether it's singing, food, something, there's something to do with that, because the way that it's going out and the stars, I mean, I've seen this card so many times, but this is the first time I've seen it in this light, meaning like where I can tell that's what they're trying to say, is that it's not just being impeccable with your word, but also that if you're using your mouth to express whatever it is, that you be impeccable with that as well. And that is where you're going to find your magic. And if that means that you have to, I used to talk super fast, or people would be like, because my brain, I just was so, blah, 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 people would be like, oh my gosh, slow down. Like you're going too fast. Like you're overwhelming me, And then it took me years to realize and understand like what was really happening. And it's because I used to joke and say I had no filter, but it was because I wasn't grounded. And when I was going through my transformation, one of the things that was said to me over, and I mean over and over and over and over and over, was, oh my gosh, you're so ungrounded. You're so ungrounded. To the point that I started crying one time, and I was like, why does everybody keep saying that to me? And this community that I joined, this spiritual community, and she said, because that's the truth. You are so connected to the stars, but you're not connected to the earth. And that is where the magic is, that fine line between as above, so below, right? But we're in the middle on earth right now. This is the plane that you need to be thinking about. You may travel to other dimensions or timelines or universes or whatever in your dream state or meditation, whatever. But like when your eyes are open and awake, like right now, whether this is a matrix and this is all fake or whatever, it doesn't matter. To my eye, to whatever, like if you cut me right now, I bleed. So in this state, in this place where you are right now, getting grounded and connected to the earth is going to be the best thing for you right now. The best thing for you. I'm serious. This was on the bottom, but my eyes keep getting drawn to it. So it says, all people live in their, ow, ow, ow. See, look, I moved to, ow, 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 ow. Funny bone, but it's not funny. Ow, ow, ow. Oh, see what I mean? It's like things like that. Like, why do I have to get hurt? But I moved too quickly. Oh, hold on. Okay, second for you, many minutes for me. Holy shit. You know what? Sometimes it just hits you in that one spot and you're like, you can't, like, your arm feels like it's like paralyzed for a minute because it's like a tuning fork. I feel like that's what Spirit's trying to get you to be connected. Maybe some of you are getting hurt. Hey, I love you so much. It's worth getting hurt to, if that's what you needed right now. But I am hearing from Spirit that, like, it's because you need to slow down. I feel like you're either like, I feel like you're like this. You're either like, oh my gosh, what is going on right now? And also stop being so hard on yourself. I feel like some of you are like really judging this reading right now and everything that's happening. And they're like, stop it. Oh my gosh, what is going on? But I feel like this energy over here is kind of like where you are right now. And this kind of feels like almost like an invisible energy too. Like, I'm just feeling like a lot of sadness, but here it's just wide-eyed and like feeling good. And look at, then this card has little stars on it too. And they all, you've seen, they don't all have that. It says, all people live in their own dream, in their own mind. They are in a completely different world from the one we live in. Yes. This came up in one of the other readings too. So if you're drawn to reading two, I think it came up in reading two, go check it out. But if not, again, don't make something your story. I don't know what is going on, but it was like, everything was like working well. And then all of a sudden just, I'm hearing stop being so hard on yourself. Some of you are really, really, really being hard on yourselves. Okay, and then I felt like there might be one more. So let me see. Spirit, do we have any more messages for reading 3 right now? Do we have any more angel messages that want to come through? Oh, this was the front of that card I just read for you. So clearly they wanted you to see the visual. So don't take anything personally. Oh, look at the Om and the I and the Ankh. Oh, that's really powerful. I don't know what this one is, but it says everyone lives in their own dream. I'm also seeing this came up in reading 1. So if you're drawn to reading 1, this, even though this may look as like a divine masculine represented, I literally saw a woman. So this could be 2 for some of you. If you're going through some type of change, I just got the chills all over my body. Reading 1, we spoke of that. And in the description box, there's a link to a channel called Style Like You. And I think it would really help you. There's that particular episode was for reading 1, but you can, if you're not, click on it. And if you're not drawn to it, go look at their other videos. But I just thought it was really, really, really powerful. But reading 1 was talking about that, about being yourself, like meeting yourself where you are and releasing, the need to control the way that people view you or see you or experience you. You know what, do you ever hear that saying, what people think of you is none of your business? It's true. So, earlier I was talking about in one of the readings about how I've been changing so much. And I had this moment where, I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. I'm like, that might really mess up my hair. And then I just heard my higher self say, so what? What if what would happen if we shaved our head? And I was like, oh my gosh, like that's a little extreme. You're like, is it though? And then like in this energy, this episode, this person spoke of that they were a model for all these years and that they ended up shaving their head. And they said that it was actually like the coolest thing they ever did. And it felt like a restart, kind of like, just like looking at themselves in a completely different way and seeing themselves in a completely different way. And it's hair, it'll grow back, Also, some people have experienced when they shave their head, I've seen it happen with people I knew personally, where they shave their head and then their hair comes back a different color or it comes back a different texture. I had a friend who shaved their head. They had naturally curly, like beautiful curly hair, and they started losing their hair and they were tired of like trying to fight it. So they shaved their head and they stayed bald for a really long time. And then they decided they were curious to see what would happen. And their hair was growing back in straight. And they were like, this is so weird. Like, this is like not even my own hair. Like, this is so bizarre. And they stayed mostly like really buzz cut or like shaved because they're like, I just don't think I'm meant to have hair. You know what I mean? Like, so whatever, don't judge it. Don't judge it. Are there any more, do we have any more cards for reading 3? Wow, you guys got some more. All right, so be impeccable with your word. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is your third. What was this? This one was don't take anything personally too, wasn't it? Yeah. So you've got 3, and be impeccable with your word, and 2, don't take anything personally. express your love. Oh, and you know, this character kind of resembles this character as well back here. Isn't that interesting? I feel like there's something with this, and we were talking about being bald. Do it. Shave your head. Who cares? It's just hair. And if it grows back not the way you like it, maybe you're meant to just wear scarves or wigs, or maybe you're meant to just be bald-headed. I mean, look at Cynthia Erivo. You know, people ask her all the time. She's like, as of right now, she's like, no, I think this is me. This is who I'm meant to be. Um, you know, they like being bald. It feels more like them. So it's like sensuality, sexuality, intimacy, you know, divine feminine, divine masculine. These are just words. It's like, how do you feel? Who are you? And who are you becoming? You know, on the last card, it says, become a white magician. So don't take anything personally and be impeccable with your word. And on the back of this one, it says, impeccability of the word can be measured by your level of self-love. If you love yourself, you will express that love in your interactions with others, and that action will produce a like reaction. Because, you know, have you ever noticed that you may lose friends, family, whatever, like when you change, but you also will bring in new people and new community who will love you and support you for being yourself, and push you to love yourself and push you to be the best version of yourself. And these are people that you can express your love with them. You know, the other reason why a lot of people I don't talk to anymore is because they'd be like, oh, you're too sensitive, or you're so mushy. Why is everything, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I love being sensitive. You know what I mean? Like, I used to think that it was my greatest weakness, and now I realize it's my greatest power. So I feel like this little snail is like smiling and happy, and I feel like it was going towards this. So, you know, it's going to take time. It's going to take time to truly love yourself. But how you're going to change, what I'm getting from the angels is that how this change is going to really take place is when you start talking your new life into being. You're going to be talking your life. You know what I mean? The changes will happen naturally, and you will relinquish the self-importance, because part of the self-importance isn't about you being like, oh, look at me and my hair, whatever. It's like, for a lot of people, especially for light workers, it's about survival. So we've learned to be more like me, because of the conditions that we were raised in, or the conditions of Earth itself. You know, we're not from here. None of us are really from here, but like some of us, we come from realms, you know, the angel realm, the sensitive areas where all we think about is love. Oh, we just want to be loving. I mean, I meet people all the time. They're like, you've been through such harsh things. How are you still this kind of a person? Or how are you still this loving? How are you still? And I was like, because you know what? Life is fucking short. And I know that and understand what's happening. And I know that everything that happened for me and not to me. And when I started to change my thought process and started to change my languaging, everything changed around me. And it will do the same for you. And this was on the top of the deck, but my eyes were drawn to it because I don't know if you guys saw, if they call me to, I'll put a link in the description box. If not, check it out in my videos. I just posted this video about these swans. We had a massive storm around here. By the way, they said angel number 4646 is a number for you to work with as well, which is also 1010, and 2026 is a 10 year. So this is the year that you're going to relinquish control and self-importance and all that stuff, and start moving into the natural state of who you are. Anyway, we had this massive storm, and I have this like lake behind me, and it's like, or a little pond, not lake. It's like a little pond. And long story short, I woke up the morning after the storm, and it was pretty crazy. Like, I mean, there were moments where I thought like things were gonna, like, you know, I was like, Auntie-M, you know what I mean? Like, we get these gale force winds where I live where they're like 30, 40 miles per hour. It's crazy. And I live in an RV, so it was like waiting to feel like it was gonna like take me with the wind. But anyway, so I go to open the next morning. It was like beautiful outside, and the sun was shining, and I was like, wow, it's so beautiful outside. And I opened my drapes, and there was a whole family of swans. I still haven't counted them. I need to count them, but I was like, oh my gosh. And they don't like run in flocks like that. Like, they mate for life. So you may see like two of them together, but a lot of times you either see them together or you see them singular. This was a group, and they were mostly white, but a few of them were gray. And I started working with the spirit medicine of that. Anyway, so this was on top. So it says, don't make assumptions and learn to ask questions. And I'm hearing not even of others, but of yourself, but even of others too. Like, you know, if you're not sure about something, ask, you know, I always feel like people who get upset when you ask questions are not the people that anyway, so work with the swan spirit medicine. You guys got a lot. You got the snail, so work with snail spirit medicine, work with the swan spirit medicine. And on the back of this, it says, it is always better to ask questions than to make assumptions. Have the courage to ask questions until you are as clear as you can be. Once you hear the answer to a question, you won't have to make assumptions because you'll know the truth. Exactly. Like, don't get so wrapped up in like how things are going to happen or when things are going to happen, or, but yeah. So anyway, I just thought that was really wild because the swans have been coming up a lot. Also, in native spirit medicine, the key word for swans is grace. So I'm hearing to have grace with yourself and others as you're moving forward through these changes and transformations of 2026, and allow the completions to come. And when you take off the 0, it's a 1, and 1's about new beginnings. So they're saying like allow the changes, but then, also allow yourself the grieving time to release and let go of that, and allow the openness of the newness to come. In the last 24 hours, I've been having a lot of things coming through that were old that every time I feel like I've worked through something, it'll come back around and resurface, and we'll keep coming around and resurfacing until we actually deal with it and confront whatever it is. So allow that to happen. And I'm hearing just to be gentle with yourself. No more cards. Just be really, really, really gentle with yourself, and also keep this book handy. Honestly, if it's in your wheelhouse to do so, buy this book. It will change your life forever. And when you start living your life on these 4 agreements, you start to, it's like, have you ever heard that thing where they're like, when something happens, before reacting, ask yourself these questions. One of them is it true? You know what I mean? Is it, blah, blah, blah. And I don't remember all the questions, but it's like, sometimes it's like, if we just react to things, but we don't take a minute, we don't take a beat, that's when things can start to feel really ungrounded and flustered. So I'm hearing also like for you to stay grounded and take a beat. If you don't know the answer to a question, then ask, but also research it. If there's not someone around you, research it. We have a plethora of information at our fingertips. And I know there's a lot of fakery and fuckery out there, but your soul knowledge your intuition will tell you whether or not something is true or it's not. Okay, so let me see. I thought I heard something fall. Whenever that happens, I always try to look and make sure that there's nothing else that wants to come in. All right, do we have any more messages from the angels right now, or through cards, or anything else? Does reading 3 need anything else from us right now? Okay, you guys, those are your messages. I hope they helped you in any way. And thank you to the angels for stopping by today to walk us through these beautiful stories that we needed to unfold on our journey at this time. And they will be checking in with us even more over the next year. And I know sometimes I hashtag angel messages, or, I'm like, I'm an earth angel, blah, blah, blah. But this feels different. This feels like they really want to work with us this year on a much different level as guides. And because so many of us, if you found yourself here, we're doing really good. Like, we've come a really, really long way. This one is like, I was about to put the cards away. But it says, be immune to others' opinions. Yeah, because a lot of times when people are feeling a certain way, it's because they just haven't been able to relinquish their own self-importance. You know what I'm saying? So don't let that get you down. And if if you were drawn to the turtle, or maybe the turtle is one of your totems, I feel like this was like a wink wink from the angels letting you know that they got your back. But also work with this one's rose quartz. Like, work with all these crystals that we spoke of, and just getting really grounded and connected. You're gonna figure it out. I mean, honestly, reading 3, I feel like, because I always feel like my last reading is like, my kind of more in-depth magician, so to speak. So for some of you, it's going to almost feel like you're having some type of rebirth in 2026. So you're going to be going back and revisiting old things. Like maybe when you first started doing your spirit work, I don't know what's going on with the lighting. I'm not touching anything or moving or anything. And Ra's not like going in and out. So I feel like this is for you guys. It's like, when you go to the theater, and after the when the intermission is ending, they start like blinking the lights to let you know that, you know, the show is about to go back on. I feel like Spirit's like, this is your blinking light moment where you're going to know what to do and when to do it when the time comes. So don't put too much pressure on this path, this part of your path, and this like part of your purpose as well. This reading felt like I was reading for like many people. I mean, I know I always am, but like this one feels like there's many stories in this story and there's many things. So if it doesn't, you know, if certain things don't align, don't take it. All right. That's your story right now. That's what we got for you with the angels. Until next time, take really good care of yourselves and each other. Love yourself first. Take care of yourself first. There's the difference between self-importance and self-care, and that is your mission, should you choose to accept it in 2026, is to focus on the self-care, because then you will naturally relinquish the self-importance, because you'll start to understand that everybody is going through something right now. All right, you guys, I love you. See you next time. And all my information is in the description box, whether you'd like to contribute to this channel in any way or you'd like to work with me one-on-one. And remember that prayer is free. It's about the exchange of energy. We'll see you next time. Bye.